These signatures, given at a historic summit in Qatar's capital Doha, are a milestone on Afghanistan's road to peace after almost 20 years of war. But that road was always going to be rocky. Under the deal, the Afghan government will release thousands of Taliban prisoners ahead of talks between Afghan factions. But Afghanistan's President Ashraf Ghani said his government never agreed to that, and it wasn't for the US to decide.
No commitment has been made for the release of 5,000 prisoners. We have repeatedly shared this issue clearly with the US envoy Zalmay Khalilzad and other officials. This is the legitimate right and self-determination of the people of Afghanistan. A request has been made and it can be part of the negotiation, but it cannot be a precondition.
For many Afghans, the hope of an end to the violence is tempered by fears for their country's future.
If the US leaves Afghanistan, we Afghans are worried about a return to the brutal situation, that the Taliban will start their attacks again. So we call on the Taliban to sign the peace deal with the Afghan government as soon as possible.
Women and girls especially suffered severe repression under Taliban rule. Kabul veterinarian Tahira Rezai is worried about the threat to women's progress if the group regains strength through talks with the government.
I don't feel very optimistic, because I don't know who will come to power if there's peace with the Taliban. Looking at their history, I feel less hopeful that I'll be able to continue my work if there's peace with the Taliban.
It's now a waiting game to see how talks between different Afghan groups play out following Saturday's deal. Like Rezai, people here hope they won't have to pay for peace with their freedom.
And we're joined now from Kabul by Fawzia Kufi, a member of the Afghan parliament and one of the few women who took part in the negotiations aimed at bringing an end to 2 decades of conflict. Ms. Kufi, you took part in these negotiations, I understand. Are you satisfied with the outcome?
Well, people in Afghanistan, including myself, we are cautiously optimistic. I'm saying cautiously optimistic because, first of all, it is a beginning of an important process where the Afghan Islamic Republic and then the Taliban have to really set in few days. We are hoping, as it's agreed, mentioned in the Taliban and the United States agreement, we have to sit in few days and discuss those issues that people of Afghanistan are worried about, discuss about women's rights, civic rights, the future of the government where everyone will feel included. And then, in the meantime, we are optimistic because this is a beginning of a big process. But we are cautious because there has not really been major steps by Taliban to build trust and to demonstrate that they have changed, that they will not come back as they were ruling Afghanistan during 1996. That they are committed to the demands of people of Afghanistan. And also, we are cautious because there is also not a strong unity inside Afghanistan. Islamic Republic delegation has to be really inclusive. We have to start preparation for, kind of making up that team of negotiation. Right. Yes.
I just wanted to ask you, there's a very important point that in this story right now, President Ashraf Ghani says his government has not pledged to release thousands of Taliban prisoners, even though that's part of the deal that the Americans apparently have made with the Taliban. Does that put this deal in jeopardy?
I guess the problem with this deal initially was that there was less involvement from Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, including the government and the political community, to be part of this, to make sure that every step is agreed upon, and then it becomes practical and it becomes something that could be applicable and applicable. So therefore, I think the first challenge now is up to 5,000 Taliban prisoners. I think logistically also to verify whether the 5,000 Taliban, the ones who actually should not go back to the battlefield, should not use their weapons again against the people of Afghanistan. How do you verify that? How do you kind of make the distinction to release the Taliban that have not been really involved in major crime, including suicide bombing? So I think this is a challenge logistically, but also politically, because the laws of Afghanistan are very clear. I mean, yes, probably inside Afghanistan we have different views, and those views are only under Islamic Republic. When it comes to Taliban, we have to really respect the laws of Afghanistan, and for that, I think this is a commitment that needs a lot of time, a lot of discussion, and there is a lot of issues about it.
Okay, so many issues remain. Fawzia Kufi, member of the Afghan Parliament, thank you so much for talking with us this morning.